Here's what the Trump administration is facing. They're facing radical rogue judges that are actually, I would say they're committing treason against the United States of America. There's parts of our government we should be investing in, and there's parts of our government we should be completely shutting down. I don't think it's just the United States government that needs to release information about Jeffrey Epstein. I think there's other governments.
You think Epstein was an intelligence asset? I'm from London, and I should say, I know you've had quite some trouble with some British journalists.
Yeah, they're a bunch of assholes. Anybody else?
Should the Defence Secretary...
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
What about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you off? How about that?
They are
Not
a bunch
all
of
of them,
arson. No, it might be all of them. There's a few things I wanted to speak with you about,
Sure.
But perhaps we can start with the thing that's in the news at the moment, which is the deportations. I'm sure as you walked here to speak with me, you would have seen all of the signs of the most recent individuals to be deported.
Right.
Well, what's your initial take on it?
Well, I'll tell you what my initial take is. I brought this lovely board because I'm so thrilled with these numbers. This is from March. This is simply apprehensions at the border. March of last year under Biden and Democrats' wide open border policies. And this is March this year. Now, Democrats used to constantly lie and claim that it was a funding issue is why they could not secure the border. But it's simply the matter of an election. I come from the state of Georgia where Laken Riley was murdered.
Yes.
And she was murdered by an illegal alien who was apprehended at the border, released into the country, made his way up to the state of New York, was arrested in New York, released by New York, then came to Georgia where he brutally murdered this young woman in college. The American people are thrilled with President Trump that he's securing the border.
Well, seeing as we're talking about numbers, if you actually look at the numbers, so far, I believe it's about 117,000 have been deported.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Biden in the calendar year 2024, his number was 685,000 deported, which means that actually at this rate, the Trump administration is underperforming compared to Biden in 2024. Not only that, if it is indeed true, that the vice president says there's 25 million illegals in America, this isn't going to put a dent on that.
Well, here's what the Trump administration is facing. They're facing radical rogue judges that are actually, I would say they're committing treason against the United States of America. America voted and elected President Trump and his border policies. The man campaigned on these border policies for years. No one was questionable about what President Trump was going to do with the border when he became president again. But after Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed everyone to come into our country, and they allowed them to spread all over the country, funding buses, airline tickets into all 50 states, the Trump administration is having to go in and find these people. And this is no easy job. So they're up against something different than our country has ever faced before. They're up against judges that are trying to stop these deportations of MS-13, deportation of cartels and terrorists. But they're also up against having to go in and find them throughout the interior of the United States.
I see. And so that's still... How does one deal with the judges then? What's the best take to deal with that? I saw one was just recently arrested was it in Minneapolis or it was in Milwaukee, I believe?
Yeah.
Is that
for protecting an illegal alien criminal with deportation orders? It doesn't matter if you're a judge. It doesn't matter if you're a dentist. It doesn't matter if you're just any American in the country. If you are going to stop the deportation of an illegal alien criminal, then you're going to get arrested.
You mentioned the numbers there with the border bill. Now they're talking about bringing in it's been proposed that they're going to introduce, I believe, something in the figure of $200 billion for to do with the border. Perhaps you know about this better than I do. Now, on the one hand, I'm sure you'd support it in the sense that you want to sort the border out. On the other hand, you're also on the subcommittee for DOGE, and trying to reduce government spending.
Yes.
So how do you square that? On the one hand, you appeal to increase spending. On the other hand, you're trying to decrease it.
Well, here's my mindset. Here's the lens that I see things through. Number one, I ran a successful construction company for 25 years before I was dumb enough to run for Congress. So I see things as a business owner. You have to invest in your company to be successful. There's parts of our government we should be investing in, and there's parts of our government we should be completely shutting down. So investing in Homeland Security is the right thing to do. That's investing in the safety and security of the American people in our entire country. But cutting things like NPR, PBS, stop funding all these NGOs, I don't want to send a single penny to any foreign country in the entire world. I want to keep it all at home. There's a lot of ways that we can stop spending and cut government waste, but there's other ways that we can support important programs like Homeland Security. And I say that as a member of the Homeland Security Committee in Congress.
A quick interruption from our sponsor. Using Ground News, let's take a quick look at how the media is reporting on Trump's first 100 days back in office. Left-leaning El País ran the headline, "Trump completes 100 days of revenge and consummated threats." Now let's use Ground News to see how the rest of the media is covering this story. We specifically partnered with Ground News because their app and website allow me and my team to quickly see through media bias and get the full picture on any news story. There are multiple articles published on Trump's first 100 days, and we can access every single one on Ground News with context on each source. Interestingly, only 15% of left-leaning outlets are covering this story. Meanwhile, right-leaning Daily Wire ran the headline, "Just Getting Started. Trump vows more action in 100 days of greatness rally." A very different narrative from El País. Seeing all sides, regardless of political lean, is essential for making informed decisions and spotting bias. That's why Ground News' blind spot feed, which highlights stories underreported by either side, is such a powerful tool. And I genuinely believe in what Ground News is doing, and I encourage you to check it out by scanning the QR code or visiting ground.news/Winston. If you subscribe through my link, you'll get 40% off unlimited access. Ground News is subscriber funded, and by supporting my sponsors, you are supporting this show. Thank you, and back to the interview. Can you tell me about where Doge is at the moment? Because I believe that Musk has said that they say something like 160 billion. There are reports by others who are critiquing that number that it's much lower. There's even reports or rumors that Scott Bessent had an argument with Elon at the White House maybe 10 days ago, saying he is not making those numbers.
Well, there's always lies and rumors and fake news coming out. They always have their anonymous sources. These same people that like to say that they got in an argument and also claim other stories are the same people that lied about Russian collusion, call President Trump a Nazi, and also said that Hunter Biden's laptop isn't real.
Oh, so that whole story about Bessent and Musk is not true at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all rumors and lies.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Typical game in the American media, or maybe the entire world's media. Here's what's happening with Elon Musk. He's the most successful businessman in the world. He's the richest man in the world. He just saved 2 astronauts from outer space. When our own government and NASA couldn't do it, neither could anyone else. So he is graciously giving his time into this Department of Government Efficiency. I chair the subcommittee on Doge on oversight. This is the most important work I'm doing. We've done incredible hearings on USAID, Medicare, waste, fraud, and abuse, which is almost $1 trillion a year. Almost $1 trillion a year is stolen through waste, fraud, and abuse in government programs like Medicare. We also did a great hearing on NPR and PBS. These are radical government-funded media programs that spend their entire time lying, hating on President Trump, and are America last as it gets. So the job that Elon Musk is doing for this country is appreciated everywhere. And it shouldn't be a partisan issue. This is a simple issue.
Sure.
It's an easy one.
I certainly support the principle of it. The thing that sort of strikes me is that how are you actually going to make those numbers? He said he can do $1 trillion within the year, or that's how much he thinks he can reduce. $2 trillion within 2 years, and he's only at 160 now. And that's the contention there is how's he actually going to make up those numbers?
Easily. So they're working diligently. Okay, let's be realistic. We are coming up. Today's day 99 of President Trump being in office. So how many days has Elon Musk and Doge been at work? Not very long.
Right.
So he's talking about cutting $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse. That can be done by getting rid of many contracts, which he's already doing. That's part of that $160 billion. Deleting or basically marking dead millions and millions of Social Security numbers, which were being used for fraud in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and also COVID. That was unbelievable. And then also digging in and just rooting out wasteful spending. And we're at $36 trillion in debt. I think the United States government is very, very guilty of wasteful spending.
Yeah.
So I really believe Elon Musk. I also know the people that are working under him in the Department of Government Efficiency. I think it's fantastic, and we're all cheering him on and being able to do that.
As a congresswoman, it is up to Congress to decide the budget. What do you think when it comes to the Congress actually taking up their role in the procedure? What can we expect?
Well, I'm going to be critical. Now, I don't know how much you know about me, but I ran for Congress critical of the Republican Party, critical of Democrat Party, and critical of the Republican Party. So I have no problem telling you that I don't think the Republican-controlled House and Senate is doing a good job. And I'll give you a comparison. Under Joe Biden, in his first 100 days, Nancy Pelosi delivered 11 bills to his desk for him to sign into law. One of them included the Democrats' American Rescue Plan that was $1.9 trillion, funded open borders, funded DEI, funded trans policies, and funded COVID insanity in this country. Just threw money everywhere. Okay, they got that done in the first 100 days. Here's where we are now. We're on day 99. Tomorrow's President Trump's 100 days. Our Republican-controlled House and Senate has only delivered 5 bills to President Trump's desk. And you know what they are? Thankfully, one of them is the Laken-Riley Act, and I'm so thankful we got that done. The other 3 are disapproval resolutions on Biden-era energy policies. Those are great. But you know what the other one is, the 5th and final one? It is a Biden Democrat government funding continuing resolution. We just continued the funding that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden wanted. We didn't do our reconciliation bill, which I think is a failure. We should have gotten that done in the first 100 days. This week, we have 6 committees in the House that are marking up the reconciliation bills. We're just now doing that, and we're going into the beginning of May this month. So I'm a regular person. I could care less about this town and what most people think of me. I care about the job that needs to be done. And I can tell you, people at home are angry. Republicans in Congress are not passing President Trump's executive orders. We could do one a week. We aren't passing his rescissions. We could do those one a week. And those only require 51 votes in the Senate. We have 53 Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah.
We have no excuse there. And then our reconciliation bill, that only needs 51 votes in the Senate as well. Again, no excuse.
If I can do a slight about turn or a change of topic.
Yeah.
You recently tweeted or posted on X, I should say, about Virginia Giuffre, who sadly committed suicide, and she was a victim of, or an alleged victim of Epstein. And under this, I think you called that the Epstein files must be released. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, said she would release the files. This was maybe a month or so ago. And the next day, they didn't release the files. They released a folder that purported to be the files, but when you open it, there was nothing new in there. Are you disappointed by her just failure there?
Listen, here's how I feel about that issue. I don't think it's just the United States government that needs to release information about Jeffrey Epstein. I think there's other governments that need to release.
Which governments?
Probably many of our allies. I bet your country, the UK, has information on him. He clearly had Prince Andrew. I would say Israel probably has information on him. I would say there's many countries that have information they should release also on the Epstein files, because women should have never been trafficked and should have never been held captive and be used by the intelligence community of many countries. That's my opinion.
Yes.
And that's just what I think about it. And that's what most Americans think about it. They're sick and tired of governments, our government and other governments, creating foreign wars, creating situations like this where people are compromised in order to control people.
So you do believe he's an intelligence asset?
There's victims. There's real victims of this. And Virginia Giuffre was one of them. And her death is tragic. And the women that have come forward are heroic. But she also tweeted she wasn't suicidal.
Yes.
And I think that has to be mentioned.
So you do think that Epstein was an intelligence asset?
Absolutely. I think he was an intelligence asset. I think everybody knows that. No one of any intelligence believes he did all that by himself.
Okay, so your response is all of these countries, as well as America, should release the information.
Whoever has information should release the information.
Well, let's hope that Pam Bondi does eventually.
I hope she does too, yeah.
Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Winston Marshall Show. And remember, if you want to support the show, all you have to do is press subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what you think. Head over to winstonmarshall.co.uk for exclusive content videos and interviews. And until next time, be well.